I, the dignified emperor of Fengdu, was actually chosen by a weird game to participate in the National Luck Strange Tales on behalf of Dragon Country, while contestants from other countries are still racking their brains to raise NPC favorability. NPCs are instead racking their brains hard, trying to stay alive in my hands. 5,000 years ago, I traveled to the underworld and became the lowest-ranked ghost officer. I also got an underworld check-in system along with it. With the help of the system, I climbed to the top step by step, inherited the throne of Beiyin Emperor, commanded the entire underworld, and finally became the Emperor of Fengdu. When I hit 5,000 years of check-ins on the system, I finally got the coordinates of Blue Star and returned to my hometown. Jiangqing, Dragon Country, Room 103, Building 8, Chaoyang Community. I stood quietly in front of the house number. Hesitating for a long time, I stretched my hand out again and again, but never knocked on the door. I'd read the memories of passers-by on the street earlier. For this world, only 2 years had passed since I traveled. 2 years. Have Mom and Dad had a new kid? Will I disturb them if I go back like this? I've already become the Emperor of Fengdu. I carry the fate of the entire Fengdu on my shoulders. I'm doomed to not be able to stay with them for long. Even if I give them immortality, is that what they really want? This door feels like an insurmountable chasm to me. When I heard the baby crying inside the room, I, who's always decisive in battles, hesitated right now. Then I smiled relievedly. Fine, whatever! Let everything go with the wind. In the end, I decided not to disturb them and left this place. Inside the door, Mom was coaxing the toddler baby while asking loudly, "Honey, did you feel something just now?" Dad was reading the newspaper. After hearing his wife's question, he put down the newspaper silently. For no reason, tears rolled down the corners of his eyes. "Xiaojie, is that you?" His body trembled slightly. He suddenly rushed to open the door, hoping to see the child he missed so much. But the hallway was empty as his heart right now. On the busiest commercial street in Jiangcheng, I was walking along the street, planning to draw out the will of Blue Star. This Hongmeng universe has no owner, which means I can take it under my command to strengthen the underworld. Then the reincarnation of this universe will be under my control. While I was thinking, a voice suddenly sounded across the entire Blue Star. Ha ha ha! Hello everyone in Hongmeng universe number 361. The Rule Strange Tales game will start in 10 minutes. Please get ready. The rules are simple. Each country will select one player to join the Strange Tales game. Survival gets rewards. Death will bring strange tales to your country. The strange tales that the dead player encountered will be synced to their entire country. After each player dies, their country will randomly select another player as a substitute. Good luck, everyone. This sudden message made everyone look terrified and stunned. Everyone felt uneasy all of a sudden. The countdown ended. Selecting candidates for each country, soon countless huge screens appeared in the sky, flashing different faces non-stop. After flashing countless times, the screen for Dragon Country finally stopped at one person. Hua Wujue, the contestant for Dragon Country. A playful look flashed in my eyes. Feeling the sudden arrival of space rules, I didn't resist and let it take me away. Ha! Didn't expect someone would be this stupid. I'm the dignified Emperor of Fengdu. How dare you drag me into the Rule Strange Tales? In the highest strategic conference room of Dragon Country, 5 old marshals with 5 red stars on their shoulders were seriously staring at the live broadcast on the screen. Marshal, the investigation on this person, Hua Wujue, is out. He went missing 2 years ago. He was 18 when he disappeared. He came from an average family. He was introverted and lonely. After he went missing, he vanished like vapor. No trace of him was ever found. His parents adopted a baby from Chaoyang Orphanage last December and named him Hua Wujue. The several national marshals listened to the report. Their frowns deepened. Forget about Hua Wujue's background for now. The most important thing right now is this Rule Strange Tales, one marshal said slowly, pointing at the light screen on the monitor with his thin finger. This kind of method is already beyond the reach of Blue Star's technology. I think this is done by extraterrestrial civilizations. If their civilization is this advanced, even if they wanted to enslave the entire blue planet, it would be a total piece of cake. Unless they don't even take us seriously. They're just playing a cat and mouse game with us. Another dragon marshal tapped the table rhythmically. He narrowed his eyes slightly as he stared at the screen. I actually have another thought. You guys think, what if the alien civilization uses this projection method? Because of some kind of restrictions, so this is the only way they can affect us. The other dragon marshals heard this, and a thoughtful look appeared in their eyes. Xiaotai is right. One dragon marshal spoke slowly. Besides 5 general stars on his shoulder, there is also a special nation guardian star. If the alien civilization wanted to mess with us, they wouldn't have gone through all this trouble. If you ask me, the alien civilization has its own concerns, so they only use this projection method to affect us, no matter what. Remember, our top priority is the Dragon Kingdom. Our #1 rule is to protect the people of the Dragon Kingdom. As this highly respected Dragon Marshal spoke, the other 4 Dragon Marshals all straightened up and nodded in unison. Exactly, only if we survive can we have a future. The 5 Dragon Marshals reached a consensus and turned their attention back to the screen. At the same time, the real-time projection on the screen changed. After a black screen, a region totally different from Blue Planet appeared before their eyes. The sky was dark, and the air was filled with black ash. Everything looked quiet and gloomy. A few old houses that looked abandoned for over 100 years stood there silently. The street lamp nearby flickered with dim green light from time to time. Everything sent a chill down people's spines. This is the world of the Rule horror game, and the environment these players are about to face. Under the nervous gaze of all Blue Planet residents, contestants from all countries appeared one after another. These people had different skin colors, both male and female, but right now they all had one thing in common on their faces, and that was confusion and fear. Blue Planet has been peaceful for almost 100 years. No one has ever seen such a weird scene before. Only I watched with great interest as I felt the aura of this world. The environment here might make people from Blue Planet feel scared and horrified, but compared to the underworld, this is just an amusement park for kids. The 18 levels of hell. Any single level alone is way scarier than this place. Cackle, cackle, hello there, players. Each of you will get a different task that you have to finish within 1 day. Fail the task, you die. Complete the task, you live. Those who survive will get one chance to draw a special ability. Good luck to you all. Oh right, remember to check your own panels. It might save your life at some point. That weird and evil laughter echoed in everyone's ears again, making the players shocked, angry, and terrified, because they all received at the same time a different special email. There were a few short lines of text on the email, which looked like a death note to them. Deliver these letters respectively to Grandpa Wang, who loves watching TV's house, Grandma Lee, who likes sitting at the door watching the sky's house, and Apartment 502. I also received this email, and 3 letters appeared in my hand at the same time. My panel also popped up: player, Hua Wujue, status, good, ability, none, title, none. Items, 3 emails. Mission countdown, 23 hours, 59 minutes. I lazily lifted my eyelids and wore a meaningful smile, because my Earth aura would cause Blue Planet to collapse. So I've completely restrained all my aura, and I look just like an ordinary person. I didn't expect to get involved in something interesting. Just then, a calm and slightly cold voice broke the silence. Everyone, since we've all been dumped in this hellhole, I have an idea. I think you all will want to hear it. To survive in this unknown place, if we all pool our strength together, it's way better than fighting alone. Everyone looked towards the sound. They saw a young man in his early 20s, with a cold expression, his body hidden under a loose white coat. The only noticeable thing was his light blue pupils. At the same time, in the Dragon Kingdom's top strategic meeting room, several Nation Guardian Dragon Marshals frowned deeply, staring intently at the young man with blue pupils on the screen. Armin, Chief Engineer of the United States' top strategic engineering project, winner of 3 consecutive Nobel Science Prizes. He's a world-famous genius. Now look at our country's player. Missing for 2 years. Weird behavior. Other than some paperwork records, we know almost nothing about him. But as soon as the Rule horror game starts, the fate of the entire nation rests on Hua Wujui's shoulders, which makes them extremely worried. By contrast, all the top US officials are over the moon right now. With Dr. Armin on our side, we will definitely dominate the Blue Star. A group of US senior officials were ecstatic, raising expensive red wine to celebrate victory in advance. Right now in the horror space, who are you? Why should we listen to you? A tall, strong man, with pale golden eyes, questioned. He is Renault from the Sun Never Sets Empire, a world-class fighting champion known as King Arthur. Armin stared at Renault calmly. The fact that we were teleported here proves this is beyond normal human power to fight against. We are in a supernatural world, like a wooden boat in the vast ocean. All actions must follow the rules. One step out of line and you're doomed forever. The survival hope of all 337 of us is on this wooden boat. Only by completing the mission can we stay alive. His subsequent analysis and reasoning moved contestants from all countries. Even Renault fell into deep thought. Then Armin introduced himself calmly. I'm Armin. I won't force anyone to join, but I can guarantee a survival rate as high as 76.33%. All the contestants were shocked at once. He's the genius who won the Nobel Science Prize 3 times consecutively. No one doubted his identity. They all walked over to stand beside him. Even Renaud joined without hesitation. I was the only one left standing alone here. Armin's eyes flickered, as if he was calculating something. After a moment, he spoke. Longuo contestant. If you are willing to join, I can guarantee your survival rate reaches 92.17%. What? The contestants looked indignant. Why is his survival rate so high? Armin stood where he was, convinced his calculation was correct. I replied coldly, not interested. Get lost. Then I turned around and walked alone towards the eerie town in the distance. This move of mine left the players, in the horror world, completely confused. Even the citizens outside were confused too. But I won't explain anything, because I am the Emperor of Fengdu. Though I know exactly what's going on, people outside have no clue. They saw Hua Wujue on Longguo's light screen, choose not to ride on Dr. Armin's coattails, and thought Hua Wujue's performance was totally ridiculous. They really can't figure out what this guy is doing. Isn't he gonna get us into trouble? The public was furious, looking at Hua Wujue like he was an idiot. However, there were also some rational people. Everyone, calm down first. I believe Hua Wujue won't take risks for no reason. He might have found something. Room 103, Building 8, Chaoyang Community. It's Xiaojue. It's really Xiaojue. Mom stroked the screen with her hand, tears streaming down non-stop. Dad next to her pressed his lips together, his body trembling constantly. They don't care about the national fate battle, nor the arrival of the rule horror. They only hope Hua Wujue is safe and sound. Right now, inside the horror world, a cold sneer flashed across the corner of my mouth. This horror world seems to be assimilating the blue star step by step via projection. They're nothing but clowns that will never amount to anything. Between different Hongmeng universes, there's only one way to assimilate and annex another universe, and that's the Hongmeng will. I would choose to refine it by force, because I have the power to do so. But for those Hongmeng universes that can't force refinement, they can only use the method of rule projection, to apply the rules of their own universe, to assimilate other Hongmeng universes step by step. When the horror rules completely cover the blue star, this Hongmeng universe will belong to the horror will. This method takes a very long time, and it's also a sign of insufficient strength. My deep, dark eyes swept across the town. There's a familiar aura here. This feeling comes from the Nether Chaos Sea. I've been attacked by countless eerie beings there before, so I'm very familiar with these weird auras. Though this horror world is far less powerful than the underworld, its weird aura is somewhat similar, yet a little different. That's what makes me interested. The eerie beings in the Nether Chaos Sea haven't always existed. They were sealed there by the previous emperor of Fengdu. They can't be killed by conventional means. They can only be suppressed by the underworld will. The reason why the previous emperor of Fengdu disappeared has everything to do with the source of these eerie beings.
Now I can just use this
as a starting point to look into some matters. Maybe I can uncover the secret buried for 10,000 years. I walked straight into the town. Almost all the houses here are small villas. They've been abandoned for too long, so moss is growing everywhere. As soon as I entered the town, I felt like countless pairs of eyes were peeking at me. Under the flickering street lamp, there appeared a pale figure holding a newspaper. He was only 2 meters away from me, but after another flicker of the light, that newspaper ghost pressed right up to my face. At this moment, the viewers outside were so nervous that their hearts were in their throats, because they could even clearly see the newspaper ghost's emotionless white pupils. A flash of killing intent crossed my eyes. The coercion of Emperor Fengdu burst out. How dare you evil spirits act so recklessly? Those domineering words just left my mouth. The newspaper ghost looked utterly terrified, and finally turned to dust and drifted away in the air. I picked up the newspaper casually and stood there calmly. You have obtained the newspaper ghost's newspaper outfit. The scene broadcast live on the light screen made Longguo and the entire blue star fall into a weird silence. What just happened was way beyond everyone's understanding. After a long while, a voice came from Longguo's top strategic meeting room. Send someone to investigate the 2-year gap immediately. Check if Hua Wuke was taken away by those Taoist sects. Just when the outside world was boiling over, I had already found my first stop for delivering letters. Old Wang's house, the guy who loves watching TV. A vintage window under the dim light. I could vaguely see a blurry figure inside, sitting hunched over on the sofa. In front of him was an antenna TV with flickering snow. Aside from the hissing static from the TV, there was nothing else on, but that figure was watching it with great interest. He would even grab food every now and then from the table next to him and take bites. This is Old Wang's house, the TV lover. Hiss, a TV with flickering snow, a weird-looking figure. This is way too creepy. What's the old man watching? And why does the thing he's eating look like fingers? Longguo netizens were chattering nonstop. They still hadn't figured out why the newspaper ghost suddenly disappeared, and now they were all on edge again. Dude, I'm begging you. Just drop the letter there and leave right away. You can't get lucky every single time. This old Wang lives alone in a big mansion, and even has a TV to watch. He's definitely a tough guy. Armin and the others already cracked the rules, as long as you throw the letter into the house. The mission is considered complete. Don't be an idiot and knock on the door, okay? The thoughts of Longguo's citizens hadn't changed in such a short time. After all, they still hadn't realized who exactly the person on the light screen was. Loud, violent knocking sounds echoed out. The static sound inside the house paused for a second. I walked up and knocked directly on the door, with a pretty rude attitude. Longguo citizens outside gasped in shock. From their point of view, old Wang inside stood up and walked towards the door. Shit. Run right now. Are you doing this on purpose? If you want to die, don't drag us down with you. While Longguo's citizens were on the verge of breaking down, the door opened. The rusty iron door let out a harsh scraping sound. Who's there? A blurry figure hid in the shadows behind the iron door, I said in a cold tone. Your letter. I handed one of the letters to the shadow. Huh, the shadow didn't take the letter. Instead, it made a weird noise that made everyone's hair stand on end. I felt a little impatient. Do you want it or not? I asked coldly. A tinge of red flashed across my ink-black pupils. The shadow behind the iron door froze for a second, as if it couldn't understand why I was so arrogant. The shadow laughed in rage. I want the letter, and I want you too. The TV ghost darted out of the shadow and revealed its full appearance. Its graying hair was above a face full of corpse spots. Its pitch-black eyes had no whites at all. It reached out excitedly to strangle my neck. But right when it was about to succeed, it seemed to hit an invisible barrier. After a shrill scream, it backed away again and shouted in horror. What the hell is this? You're not a postman. I completely lost my patience. I stuffed the letter into its coat pocket. I raised my hand and slapped its left face hard. The TV ghost's head spun a full circle. Before turning back to its original position, the TV ghost was stunned and mumbled, How can you even hit me? Ha! I sneered and raised my hand again. This time its teeth shattered instantly and fell all over the floor. Offending me is enough reason for you to die. My cold gaze cut across its face like a knife. The TV ghost nodded repeatedly and said tremblingly, I'll give you 50 ghost coins, and I'll give you my TV as compensation too. This is all I have. The TV ghost was so anxious it almost cried. You have obtained X1 Old Wang's TV. You have obtained X50 ghost coins. Not bad. You know how to play along. Welcome to use the letter delivery service. Looking forward to serving you next time. I smiled. All the murderous intent faded away. I haven't had enough fun yet. Besides, I'm not an unreasonable person. I don't slap people into blood mist for no reason. If you know what's good for you, I don't mind sparing your little life. When the TV ghost saw this, he breathed a sigh of relief at the same time and forced a stiff smile, but he was cursing in his mind. You still want a next time? I never want to see you again in my whole life. At the same time, Armin and his group also started to move. Right in front of them, a lone red, old phone booth stood there. The South Korean player said in fear, That's where I need to deliver the letter. Armin stared at the red phone booth with his pale blue eyes. Go ahead, Park Jung-hyun. The South Korean player was obviously stunned, as if he couldn't react for a moment. Aren't you supposed to deliver it for me? Renault beside him was both annoyed and amused. We said we'd help with delivery, not do it entirely for you. Besides, your taskbar forbids others to deliver it for you, right? Renault had already seen through this point, and he agreed with it. Armin is the brains of their team, he can't get hurt. So as long as it doesn't involve himself, Renault will firmly stand by Armin's side. Most players from other countries are also waiting and seeing. Everyone had a silent, tacit agreement. The first person to deliver the letter will bring them valuable experience. The South Korean player's face flushed red with anger and asked in a furious tone, If we have to deliver it ourselves, why did you gather all of us together? Armin looked away from the phone booth and said in a cold voice, Calm down, Park Jung-hyun. I gathered everyone together, precisely to better deal with emergencies. I never said that I could get all of you out of here 100% safely. I've always been very accurate with my words. Our survival probability is 76.33%. Nothing is absolute. Only sufficient intel can get us the best result. Insufficient intel only brings a vague future. Park Jung-hyun, it's time for you to deliver the letter. As soon as Armin finished speaking, Renault took a step forward with a hostile look. Other players from various countries also tacitly moved forward to surround South Korean player Park Jung-hyun. His face turned deathly pale in an instant. He could only point shakily at these people. Park Jung-hyun, if something happens to you, the next South Korean player will get our special care. Armin stared at him quietly with his pale blue eyes. Every word felt like a knock on his heart, constantly forcing him to go deliver the letter. After hearing Armin's words, Park Jung-hyun understood. He could only go deliver the letter. If he didn't, the people in front of him wouldn't let him off. South Korean citizens wouldn't let his family off either. The Weird Talk rules are very clear. After he dies, there will be another player to take his place. His life has never been in his own control. The South Korean player stumbled to his feet, took out the letter and walked towards the old red phone booth. Armin watched this scene. His expression gradually became serious. His pale blue eyes were flickering wildly, as if he was calculating something. Players from all countries were also very nervous at this moment. After all, they had never faced the weird creatures directly before. No one knew what would happen after sending this letter. Park Jung-hyun shakily opened the phone booth door and threw the letter inside. Everyone's eyes were fixed on that letter until it landed inside the phone booth. Nothing happened at all. Renault watched this scene and frowned. Is that it? Is the task done already? But where's the uncle who's supposed to receive the letter? The South Korean player was also a little dazed, as if he realized he had completed a delivery task. He hurriedly tried to pull his hand off the phone booth, but the moment he let go of his hand, out of nowhere an extremely creepy phone ringtone suddenly blared out, and in that old phone booth, a blurry back of an uncle appeared out of nowhere. A pale palm was holding the ringing phone. Run! Armin's face changed drastically. His pale blue pupils suddenly shrank. Hearing this, no one dared to waste time, and they all scrambled to run for their lives. The South Korean player's eyes widened. His body seemed to be out of control. He couldn't even tremble. He could only watch as the uncle holding the phone picked up the call. The moment he answered the phone, the South Korean player fell to the ground instantly, just like a cold sculpture. South Korean player Park Jung-hyun is dead. Weird Talk descends. The laughter of the horror will rang out. All of a sudden, South Korea ended up with countless dead people trapped in phone calls. Meanwhile, I casually made my way to a vintage house in the center of the town. In front of the rust-covered front door, a pair of rattan chairs woven with bamboo joints were placed there silently. There was no one sitting on them, but the chairs were rocking rhythmically, as if someone was lying on them. Deliver the letter to Grandma Lee. Note that Grandma Lee sometimes mistakes you for her grandson. Just go along with what she says. That's the code of conduct for a professional postman. Compared to the last letter for Old Wang, this letter for Grandma Lee has an extra note. Be my grandma. I chuckled and took out the letter for Grandma Lee and said coldly, your letter is here. The constantly rocking rattan chair paused for a second, but then kept on rocking. I took 2 steps forward and held down the rocking chair and said it once again. Your letter has arrived. This time the chair wasn't empty anymore. An old grandma had appeared on it. She was lying quietly on the rattan chair, staring blankly at the sky. After hearing me repeat it the second time, the grandma twisted her stiff neck, her dead fish-like eyes fixed on me. My letter. Oh my good grandson, you're here to deliver the letter, the grandma said haltingly, as if something was stuck in her throat. It sounded absolutely spine-chilling. Slap! I slapped her right across the face with a cold look in my eyes. I said coldly, you dare call me your grandson. The slap sent the grandma's whole head turning 180 degrees. A rare flicker of anger appeared in her numb eyes. Haven't I taught you to respect the old and care for the young? As the grandma's icy words fell, the rattan chair seemed to come alive, twisting and lunging right at me. A trace of disdain flashed across my cold eyes. Like I was looking at a tiny ant, I waved my hand lightly. A scorching flame suddenly materialized out of thin air, right above my palm. The flame gave off an extremely terrifying high temperature, making the grandma on the rattan chair shudder in fear. What is this? How do you have ghost flame? The grandma said in shock and panic. Fear was clearly visible in her dead fish-like eyes. This isn't ghost fire. Those faint green ghost fires can't even compare to my golden flame. I refined this flame myself. It's the weakest one out of 108,000 flames I own. I only refined it back then because I liked its unique feature. That feature is absorbing ghosts and anomalies. The reason it's considered the weakest is that Golden Flame needs to absorb anomalous attacks to grow, and every anomaly in the Nether Chaos Sea is an extremely terrifying existence. Golden Flame can't absorb them at all, so it was put aside and unused. But the current horror world just meets its growth requirements perfectly. I'm sorry, please let me go. The grandma trapped on the rattan chair yelled anxiously. Under the burning of the golden flame, her body had already turned almost transparent, I said with a playful smirk. Didn't you want to turn me into a chair? Why aren't you asking me to respect the old now? I'll compensate you. You postmen only get 1 ghost coin per letter, right? I'll give you 20, the grandma on the rattan chair said hurriedly, because any second later, her body would become completely transparent. 1 ghost coin hearing this information? I was a little surprised. After all, the horror quest never mentioned this reward. Which means I, the great emperor of Fengdu, was being used as free labor. Fine, I'll remember that, I smiled faintly. The heat of the golden flame rose another notch, and so did the volume of the grandma's screams. No! All my savings, 80 ghost coins, plus this rattan chair, and 2 gin of meat factory coupons, all for you. The grandma frantically took out the ghost coins and handed them to me shakily. Only then did I withdraw the golden flame. Including the ghost coins I got from Old Wang earlier, I now have a total of 130 ghost coins. Ghost coins can be used to trade for items. So what about ghosts? I called out to the void to test it out. I want to trade for a ghost. Ghosts cannot be traded. Please choose other items. Markets, ghost newspapers, ghost TVs are all tradable. A voice similar to the horror Will's laughter rang out. But compared to the latter, this voice sounded a lot more mechanical. Sure enough, as long as I don't disrupt the entire horror world's order, the horror Will won't be alerted. I turned my cold gaze towards the void, as if I was looking through the ashen sky and staring at something beyond. When the old lady heard what I said, she broke out in a cold sweat. What do you mean? He actually wants to sell me. Who the hell is the monster here? Get up. What you're sitting on is my personal property now. I stared at the old lady. The old lady forced a stiff smile, then stood up from the chair with some effort. You obtained Old Lady's Cane Chair, Achievement 1. You obtained Meat Processing Plant Voucher, Achievement 2. I stuffed the letter contentedly into the old lady's hand, looking forward to serving you next time. Bye. Meanwhile, the team Armin formed ran into another problem. Dr. Armin? Don't you think you owe us an answer? Reno stood in front of Armin, impatience flashing in his golden pupils. They'd already lost 1 team member. If we get nothing out of this, that's just unacceptable. We only got partial results, not the full conclusion. Our survival rate stays the same as before. Armin looked as calm as ever. What? Only partial results? Reno grabbed Armin's collar angrily, yanking his skinny body out into the open. The exposed part of his body was made of dense, countless metal parts. All players from different countries froze at this weird sight. Is Armin actually a robot? Reno, who was holding Armin up, was also shocked and confused. This seemingly skinny body actually felt way heavier than he expected. It was hard to imagine how heavy these metal parts were. He was King Arthur, for God's sake. He could lift a 2,000 gin barbell with his bare hands. And now he was struggling to hold this guy up. Armin calmly pushed Reno's hand away, hiding his body back under his white coat. I was supposed to be dead. I should have died 5 years ago, actually. I had cancer. Late stage, too. But I rebuilt my body with bionic parts, keeping my brain completely intact. Compared to all of you, I'm basically a new type of human. I've been through life and death, so I don't care about emotions at all anymore. Everything I do is to get the optimal outcome for the whole situation. I'm deeply sorry for Park Jung-hyun's death, but it was necessary. Because that's the only way I can raise the survival rate to 76.33% for real. Fine, but you have to tell us something at least. Reno's tone softened a little, and he looked a bit conflicted. Sure, Armin was a bit selfish, but a genius like him was definitely way more useful than he was. Armin said in a low voice, "All right, what I'm about to tell you is our next step. Head to the meat processing plant to deliver the letters." Why do we have to go to the meat processing plant? Reno frowned deeply, confused by this decision. Even ordinary stuff like that old red phone booth was so dangerous. Something related to a meat processing plant would be way scarier, right? Because we need ghost coins. Armin took out his own letters. All players from different countries crowded closer. Armin's 3 letters were already opened. Good morning, dear Pastor Arno. Pingfan Meat Processing Plant is at your service. Place your order as soon as possible if you need anything. Pingfan Meat Processing Plant. Dear Teacher Ali, new pork in stock, 10 ghost coins per gin. Selling out fast. Come by yours soon. Pingfan Meat Processing Plant. Dear Miss Xiaosu, beauty is closely tied to good eating habits. Pingfan Meat Processing Plant has exactly what you need. Pingfan Meat Processing Plant. What does this have to do with anything? Reno looked confused, scratching his head unconsciously. All the other players also looked totally lost. They had no clue what the connection was. Armin swept his gaze across the crowd sharply like a sword. I'm sure you all have noticed by now. Our mission is called 3 Males, but the delivery addresses are all different. This town looks ordinary, but it's actually super weird. Ever since we got here, has anyone seen the same thing twice? All players froze when they heard that, then started thinking back. Ever since they finished discussing outside, the moment they stepped into this town, it seemed like they had never seen any identical buildings. Even the environment behind them was changing, and they didn't notice at all. Wait a minute, is this what the road behind us looked like when we came? The player from White Elephant Country swallowed hard, fear in his eyes, pointing at the area behind them. The houses still looked old and rustic, but they weren't the ones they remembered at all. All the other players were horrified. Something this weird, and they only noticed it now. Now, even Reno couldn't help, breaking out in a fine, cold sweat. He looked at Armin with eyes full of awe. Reno was about to say something, but Armin cut him off. The moment we stepped into this town, I already noticed this, but I didn't tell you guys. Unknown fear would only make you break down faster. Now I'm choosing to reveal it, because I have something to tell you. We're at the point where we have to fight for our lives. The time limit for the mission is 1 day, and 3 hours have already passed. If we fear the weirdness and don't finish the mission, we die. If we deliver the letters and trigger unknown rules, we die. My theory might be right, and it might be wrong too. But if it's correct, we have a really high chance of surviving. If it's wrong, then I'm sorry. All of us will die here. We won't even last the full day. Please open your status panels and check what your current status is. Armin said this heavy news indifferently. Players from all countries panicked a little when they heard that and hurriedly opened their panels. When they saw the eye-catching red line in the status bar, their pupils shrank to the size of pinpricks. Under Ghost Erosion, player HP 73. When did this start? All players looked absolutely disbelieving. There was nothing on the panel at first, for crying out loud. So when did you guys notice something was wrong with the town? Armin asked them calmly in return. Players from all countries fell silent one after another. If that's the case, the Ghost Erosion started the second. They stepped into the town. Armin continued. According to my calculations, every hour we stay here, we lose about 9 HP. If you do the math, even though we seemingly have a full day for the mission, we only actually have 11 hours left. If we don't get the chance to draw an ability before the erosion finishes, we're all dead. Every time he finished a sentence, the silence on the players' faces grew heavier until it was dead quiet. Clap, clap. Sudden, crisp applause broke the silence. Everyone looked up. They saw me half smiling as I stared. At Armin in the middle of the crowd, a Sakura Country player roared furiously, "Get lost. You didn't want to join us at first. Now you want to hop on the bandwagon when we're in trouble. There's no such free lunch. Annoying." A red glint flashed across my dark, abyss-like eyes. The next second, that Sakura Country player exploded into a cloud of blood mist, dyeing the people next to him in a thin layer of red. Sakura Country player Yamamoto Taro is dead. Random creepypasta incoming. That almost sneering announcement voice rang in everyone's ears again, but this time, the creepypasta Will's gaze swept over me and disappeared just as quickly. This sudden turn of events left both the players inside the creepypasta world and the people back on Blue Star outside, frozen in eerie shock. How on earth did he do that? But Sakura Country probably doesn't have time to be shocked. The exact moment Yamamoto Taro died, countless floating head balloons appeared across Sakura Country. Every single head balloon had a creepy smile on its face. Armin didn't show much surprise. A blue glint in his eyes flashed and disappeared. "Hello, Mr. Hua. We meet again." I smiled slightly and slowly walked towards the group of players. "What do you want?" Reno's voice suddenly went sharp, his eyes full of wariness and fear of the unknown. "Be quiet, Reno. I don't think you want to end up like Yamamoto." Armin glanced at Reno coldly, then stepped forward and stood in front of me. I stared at the guy in front of me with great interest, a rare hint of appreciation on my face. "I need 50 of you to help me verify a few things." "Sure," Armin agreed immediately without hesitation, which left the players behind him confused and suspicious. "What do you mean, sure? Do you want us to go die?" "And 50 people. That's almost 1/7 of all the players here." "Good. I like dealing with smart people. It saves me from getting annoyed." I nodded. "So will you decide who goes yourselves? Or do you want me to decide for you?" I swept my gaze across every player present, in an undeniable, calm tone. Everyone who met my gaze felt a chill go down their spine. Right now, a sense of despair rose in every player's heart. It's already bad enough there are spooky supernatural entities here. Why are the other players this terrifying too? On top of that, they arrived with the rest of us at the same time. As for fighting back, that Yamamoto who just blew up into a blood mist is the perfect example. Not only did he get himself killed, his entire country also has to suffer a paranormal invasion. No need, I'll pick the right candidates for you. Armin shook his head, then turned to face the crowd. The 50 candidates were selected right away. The selection criteria were pretty practical, even cold-blooded to be honest. The 50 countries with the smallest populations, over 300 players in total, except for the selected ones. Everyone accepted this rule. The picked players all looked like their whole world had collapsed, their eyes filled with the viciousness of desperate gamblers. Why the hell is it us? Just because our countries have smaller populations? Because this is the only way to minimize the damage caused by paranormal invasions. Armin gave them the answer. But these people obviously didn't buy it. You bastard, I'll kill you. I don't have time for this farce. He snapped his fingers lightly. It felt like the air went dead silent all of a sudden. The 50 people looked like their souls had been ripped out, their pupils dilating rapidly. Their expressions went numb. Their bodies stiffened up. There wasn't a single trace of life left in them. All the countries watching this scene had their players gasp in unison. At this very moment, these players finally realized why at the very beginning Hua Wujui refused to team up with them, because he had absolutely no need to team up with anyone. That insane supernatural power of his makes the delivery mission look like a total cakewalk. Why would he bother sticking around with this big crowd? I'm sure we'll meet again really soon. I glanced subtly at Armin's chest, then led my 50 test subjects and left this place, as the figure vanished from their line of sight. The surroundings fell back to dead silence. The atmosphere was unbearably oppressive. It was even worse than when the South Korean players died at the very start. While the remaining players felt relieved, they also felt an indescribable sense of humiliation. We're all players after all. Why the hell is he so strong? Armin shook his head and said to the players, "Don't be upset. If we survive this day, we'll have powers like that too." Reno frowned and asked, why does he have that power? Has he already delivered all 3 letters? They obviously already realized this was the power the opening paranormal notice mentioned, but wasn't this power only unlockable after delivering 3 letters? Did that mean he already finished? Everyone was shocked. How did he pull that off? That South Korean player Park Young-hyun only touched the phone booth and triggered a supernatural entity to appear. Not to mention these delivery missions all require stepping right where the supernatural entities are. How do you do that without triggering them? Armin shook his head, his pale blue eyes staring calmly at the crowd. What makes you all think that we're the first batch of players to join this game? Hearing that, Reno and the crowd of players behind him all had their faces change drastically. Chaoyang Residential Community. Mom's eyes were glued firmly to the live broadcast on the TV, her brows furrowed from time to time, then relaxed again now and then. How did Xiaoju end up like this? Dad was also holding back what he wanted to say, all sorts of doubts taking root in his heart. These 2 years he was missing. Could Xiaojue have been taken away by an immortal from the family? Rumor has it his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great ancestor was named Hua Iodian. He was once an extremely powerful cultivator, and later ascended to the immortal realm. The older generations used to talk about this all the time. He never really cared about it before. He just thought it was a made-up story for kids. But now the sudden appearance of the rule-based paranormal world and his son's unique powers made him have to take this old story seriously again. Inside the paranormal world, I arrived at the door of House 502. I looked around at the surroundings. The spooky, eerie vibe was still unchanged, but the architectural layout had changed very drastically. One single street, one single house. But there are street lamps lining both sides. All these street lamps are broken, flickering with faint green glows every now and then. It looked really creepy. My eyes darted back and forth across these street lamps. Everywhere my gaze landed, those ghostly flames froze as if they were paralyzed, not daring to move even a little bit. Interesting, I didn't notice this before. This stuff is actually really good nourishment. A faint smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Golden flame whooshed out of my palm all of a sudden. Compared to its previous palm-sized form, the golden flame had grown to the size of a whole watermelon. I sighed a little at the sight. Almost all immortal flames have their size set the very moment they fully form. But this golden rock is different. As long as it can devour supernatural energy, it can grow without limits. If the underworld didn't need to suppress those powerful supernatural beings and use their bodies to nourish the underworld, I would have long tried to break down the supernatural creatures in the Nether Chaos Sea. to make the golden rock grow as much as possible. Let me get you an appetizer first. The main course will be here really soon. A glint of light flashed across my ink-dark eyes. I watched quietly as the golden flame moved around on these street lamps, devouring energy. In just a few moments, this whole area fell completely dark. The street lamps on both sides stopped working entirely. The second both street lamps went out at the same time, House 502 suddenly lit up. It was like red light rising straight from hell, as if its owner was seething with anger. But the funny thing is, even though he was furious, he still strictly abided by the territory rules and wouldn't step out of House 502 easily. I gave a slight mental nudge. Among the row of lifeless players, a tall figure walked out automatically, his eyes numb as he walked toward the house glowing with eerie red light. That player stepped onto the lawn in front of House 502. The second his right foot stepped on the lawn, an unexpected change took place. He disappeared. He vanished without a single trace, as if he had never existed at all. Right now, Longguo netizens were all confused and lost. They don't know much about supernatural entities. The only thing they know is what they learned from Armin's side. But some people noticed something off. Look, no supernatural entities have descended on Bailo Kingdom yet. A netizen pointed this out. Whenever any player died before, no matter if they were killed by a supernatural entity or another player, supernatural entities would descend as scheduled. Oh my god, their country really has no supernatural entities showing up. What's going on here? Did the Weird Tales game glitch? No, that can't be right. Guys, do you think there's a possibility that player is still alive? But that doesn't make sense at all. I just checked the stream from the White Radish side. Their stream already went completely black. That's clearly the sign of a player dying. Inside the Weird Tales space, a golden light flashed right before my eyes, just as I thought. I waved my hand, and those players all stepped onto the lawn in front of House 502. Until the 50th player walked up, everyone was just like the first player who stepped in. They all disappeared in a weird way, and the red light from House 502 slowly faded away. Darkness took over the street again. The street lamps on both sides made a sizzling sound, like an old TV searching for a signal. All of a sudden, a weird young man on a bicycle appeared. At the end of the street, the young man's face was as pale as a dead person's. The weird young man was carrying a old-fashioned single shoulder bag. It was all bulgy, like it was stuffed with a lot of things. And there was a badge on the front of his shirt. Ghost Post Office Ni Haisheng. Ni Haisheng's appearance caused a huge uproar in the outside world. Many people in Longguo recognized this guy immediately, because 112 years ago, there was a postman who used his own sacrifice to deliver precious intelligence. He is a hero of Longguo. How could it possibly be him? Inside the Longguo Supreme Strategy Conference Room, the oldest Marshal Ni mumbled with trembling lips, tears welling up in his cloudy eyes, staring closely at the weird young man on the screen. Compared to ordinary civilians, Marshal Ni felt not only shocked, but also a deep sense of grief, because this young man was his father. The other Longguo marshals also frowned tightly. Ni Haisheng clearly sacrificed himself to deliver intelligence back then. How could he appear in the Weird Tales game again? Everyone was totally confused and felt lost about everything that was happening. Only one person understood everything and felt a towering, burning rage inside the Weird Tales world. I, who had just verified my guess, had my ink-dark eyes instantly turn into a violent blood-red color. I stared deadly at the weird young man, riding the bicycle toward me. An invisible aura followed right after, surging across the entire Weird Tales world. The street lamps on both sides were the first to be affected. Those street lamps shed iron sheets one after another, like rustling, falling snowflakes. Then they collapsed with a loud crash and turned into a pile of fragments on the ground. The calm road surface slowly cracked open. The moss-covered wall plaster was trembling violently. The red light from House 502 burned brighter and hotter than any time before, but this time it was glowing out of fear. Warning unknown. Great Emperor invasion detected. Above the ashes, the Weird Tales will suddenly revived. The vast will carried supernatural power that covered the entire Weird Tales world. The collapse of the entire Weird Tales world was quickly eased, but it only lasted for a split second. The collapse was still ongoing. The will of Weird Tales was instantly shocked. It was utterly terrified to the core. How could a great emperor show up here? Isn't this the original Hongmeng universe? Where on earth did he come from? The will of Weird Tales was furious and terrified at the same time. He's the one in full charge of this Weird Tales game. Now he could do nothing but watch the world collapse. He was completely powerless, so he decided to blame the root cause. Longguo players have violated the rules. Punishment will be imposed. A notification beep rang in everyone's ears. Everyone's mind went completely blank. What the hell is this? Our Longguo players didn't even die. Why the hell should we be punished? Longguo citizens instantly erupted in anger and fear. Longguo's light screen dimmed right away. On the other side of the Weird Tales world, Armin also noticed something weird was going on. Violated the rules. Blue light flickered in Armin's eyes. He looked like he was thinking about something. I chuckled when I heard that notification. I laughed instead of getting angry. Anyone who knows me well is aware. This is the sign that Emperor Fengdu is about to lose his temper. This Weird Tales game has actually long been collecting souls from Blue Star and teleporting them to another Hongmeng plane. My hometown is being treated like a breeding farm, and now they're even slaughtering people openly. Very well. The Weird Tales world will be erased. Longguo players are disqualified from this round of the game. The notification voice kept going. The pressure around me suddenly spiked. The full will of the Weird Tales world pressed down on me. It wanted to turn me into dust. But the second the will of Weird Tales touched me, a majestic dragon roar resounded through the sky. It was an enormous black dragon. Its dragon eyes were blazing bright red. It stared silently at the will of Weird Tales. A throne had somehow appeared beneath me. I was sitting on it. An aura of absolute dominance swept out in all directions. It pierced through the void with a hint of disdain. It stared straight at the origin of the will of Weird Tales. The will of Weird Tales was wounded. Its terror grew even stronger. This isn't just any great emperor. This is the Hongmeng Great Emperor. This was way beyond what he could handle. He had to send this intel back right away. Before the will of Weird Tales could make a move, I lifted my slender right hand. I pointed a single finger forward. It seemed to pierce right through the void. It froze the will of Weird Tales in place instantly. Damn it, how can this human be so absurdly strong? Even a Hongmeng Great Emperor can't possibly trap me like this. Your Honorable Majesty, I wonder why you are attacking me. The will of Weird Tales chose to negotiate. You just tried to kill me. My eyes were as cold as ice. The will of Weird Tales tensed up instantly. He was just about to try to explain himself, but it was already too late. Souls rise to the 9th heaven. Spirits fall to the 9th abyss. The Netherworld and Yellow Springs. Only I, Fengdu, rule them all. Along with these incantation-like words, the will of Weird Tales was rapidly being erased. A brand new will took its place. The will of me, Emperor Fengdu. Ridiculous that will of Weird Tales even wanted to negotiate with me. Little did he know that in my eyes, ants don't have the right to negotiate. The collapse of the entire Weird Tales world came to a stop. All the weird creatures in the world seemed to sense something. They were trembling, but also felt something had changed. Weird Tales game correction completed. Longguo player's qualification is restored. The notification voice sounded again. It was still the cold voice of the will of Weird Tales. But this time it was following my will. The Weird Tales game can't end yet. I have other uses for it. It just needs a new owner. Longguo's light screen lit up again. Amid the nervous and restless mood of the crowd, my face appeared on the screen once again. Great, our Longguo is okay. I knew Brother Ju could pull it off. That was just a bug earlier. All the previous fear in Longguo vanished instantly. Cheers erupted everywhere across the country. It's Hua Wujue. Golden light flashed before the 5 dragon marshals' eyes. Just a moment ago, they had already issued the national martial law order and finished coordinating with Taoist sects all over the country. They were ready to deploy at any time. The Weird Tales game may be powerful, but that doesn't mean they can't fight back. Now that the Weird Tales game suddenly changed its mind, Hua Wujue must have played a huge role in this, with his important position in the game. Who on earth are you? The 5 dragon marshals were growing more and more curious about Hua Wujue's real identity. Back in the Weird Tales world, let's go. We don't have much time left. Armin stared at the town that had returned to peace. The blue light stopped blinking. He led the group toward the meatpacking plant. He didn't say a word about the earlier weird disturbance. Even though Reynolds tried to speak up several times and held back, Armin just shook his head slowly. We're just players. Staying alive is our only goal. Reynolds hesitated for a second and nodded in agreement. Yeah, they were just players. There's a bug in the creepypasta world. Let the creepypasta game handle it itself. It's none of their business. Meanwhile, I was still standing in front of House 502. Everything around was back to normal. I sighed. Then I walked up to the ghost postman, who was Nie Haisheng. You'll be free soon. A flicker of clarity crossed Nie Haisheng's dazed eyes. He stared hard at my face. 502 is dangerous. After saying that, Nie Haisheng slipped back into a daze. He numbly pulled out a letter and tossed it into the front yard. After doing that, he got back on his bike and vanished into thin air, watching Nie Haisheng's back as he left. After a long while, I casually took my 3rd letter and dropped it in front of House 502. Just like those people, the letter also vanished without a trace. 3 mail delivery mission completed. The owner of House 502 is very satisfied with your service. You will receive a small item as a reward. You have obtained 1 rusty saw. I looked at the saw that suddenly appeared and tossed it into my inventory casually. Congratulations to the Longwo player for completing the 3 mail delivery. You win an ability draw. Random ability drawing. Zst. Value error. Zst. Draw failed. It sounded like garbled electric static. The creepypasta game ran into another bug. But this time, I was the one who was gonna fix it. Fix successful. Congratulations to the Longo player for obtaining the ability, Emperor of Fengdu. To keep things confidential between players, the ability draw notification sound didn't play inside the creepypasta world, but it wasn't hidden from people outside the creepypasta world. Holy shit, Emperor of Fengdu. What the hell kind of ability is that? Can he summon Oxhead and Horseface or something? After I fixed the creepypasta game, I suddenly came up with a better idea. Even one of the 6 Paths millstones can destroy this place easily. The hard part is not letting the other side trace it back to us. Maybe I can keep this game going, but change its purpose. The original creepypasta game served the weird Hongmeng universe. By projecting the creepypasta game into every sub-universe, to collect souls from those sub-universes and seize control of them. It's a slow, steady invasion method. Logically speaking, the Hongmeng barrier should block energy invasions from different universes. The creepypasta game found a loophole. Around that rule, it's like parallel universes. They match each other but don't interfere with one another. That's a pretty smart idea. But it only works on easy targets. You can probably guess, if the creepypasta game ever showed up in the underworld, it'd crash instantly. I wouldn't even have to lift a finger. Any one of the 10 Yama Kings would be able to crush this whole place to dust. But you have to admit this method is really clever. Even if they only send over super weak power, it's super easy for them to take over these original Hongmeng universes. If they hadn't run into me, the creepypasta game probably would have actually succeeded in the end. If they can make a creepypasta game, why can't I? From all my observations recently, I've confirmed one thing. The creepypasta game is replicable, and this method of controlling other Hongmeng universes actually works. But my game won't be. This silly little kid's game. The billions of ghosts in the underworld are perfect. For a game like this, those folks in the underworld have nothing better to do anyway. So this way, it'll save me a lot of time. I want the original Hongmeng universes, and I want the other Hongmeng universes too. Compared to the weird Hongmeng universes game method, I have a huge advantage. The 6 Paths millstone can break part of the Hongmeng barrier. Even if it's just a small crack, I can send way more power through it. At the very least, anyone below Ghost Emperor level can be sent over fully intact. The creepypasta game needs to be improved, and I still need to conquer the weird Hongmeng universe behind it. This place is definitely connected to those guys from the Nether Chaos Sea. After thinking it over, I decided what to do next. I'm gonna be a player myself to improve this game, and to understand it better at the same time. Once the 6 Paths millstone enters, I'll start the modification work, and trace the cosmic beacon in reverse at the same time. Lock onto the eerie Hongmeng interface. How dare they plot against the hometown of Emperor Fengdu? If we don't make blood run like a river and turn the whole place upside down, it won't be enough to quench the underworld's wrath. Player Huawujue alias Emperor Fengdu, you have completed the first phase of the horror tale game. You can take a rest now. Remember not to wander around the town randomly, or you'll get into unnecessary trouble. After you finish the letter delivery task, you won't be teleported out of the horror tale game. You'll have to stay here for a full day instead. A new round of horror tale will start the next day. So what exactly is there in this town? I stretched my body a little and scanned my surroundings. Some cold, eerie auras were like badly frightened birds and fled far away from me. All the lit houses turned off their lights at this moment. As if afraid of drawing someone's attention, a faint smile curled up on my lips. I picked a direction and walked that way. As for apartment 502, it vanished with a loud crash right after I left, as if wiped out by an invisible giant hand. All that was left was the foundation oozing red blood, and on the other side, Reno stared at the sign in front of him in shock. His face was full of disbelief. This is the meat processing plant. He wasn't the only one shocked. All the other players also looked stunned. The place in front of us is called a meat processing plant, but it's no different from a ruin. Fallen bricks are scattered everywhere. Only the dark factory building inside hints at unknown dangers. The only somewhat intact structure is this half of the gate. You have arrived at the meat processing plant. Notice, the owner of the meat processing plant is furious because the factory is damaged. Please don't anger him. This message popped up in the minds of players from all countries. This had never appeared before, as if warning them of something. Do we still have to go in? Reno frowned and looked at Armin. Go in. Armin nodded and added another sentence. This is the only chance we have. Players from all countries looked hesitant, still not sure what to do. None of their delivery addresses include this meat processing plant. Why would they risk going in? Armin sighed as he looked at the hesitant crowd. When we entered this horror tale game, we knew the direction of every building, except for the post office. It's not that the post office doesn't exist. It's just that we can't access it. Reno frowned even harder. What do you mean? Even though we don't know where the post office is, we do have the letters in our hands, right? After entering the horror tale game, it's like a map was embedded in every one of our minds. We know the direction of every location, except we have no memory of the post office at all. What on earth are you trying to say? You never explain yourself clearly every time you talk. I bet you just want us to go die for nothing. One player couldn't take it anymore and directly questioned Armin loudly. Although Armin's earlier reasoning convinced them, they haven't seen any real hope. Up until now, not a single bit. What I'm trying to say is very simple. Give the letters to the post office and let the people who are supposed to deliver letters do the job, Armin said calmly. But when other players heard this, they became even more confused. Aren't we the ones supposed to deliver the letters? Why give them to the post office? Who is the person that's supposed to deliver the letters? This question popped up in every player's mind, but someone figured out what he meant. Dr. Armin means we need to find the real messenger. Although at the very beginning, all of us received the distributed letters. No one ever said we are the messengers, right? As soon as this thought came up, players from all countries instantly started discussing excitedly. Wow, Dr. Armin really lives up to his reputation. That way, as long as we hand the letters to the post office, all of us can finish our tasks. The players' eyes gradually became determined. But there's one last question before that. Why would entering the meat processing plant allow us to get access to the post office? The gazes of Reno and all the other players all landed on Armin's face. Their eyes were filled with expectation and nervousness. Before they knew it, they had gotten used to relying on him, at least on the surface. Armin had no reason to harm them. It's simple. All the mails are sent from the meat processing plant. If we return the letters to the meat processing plant, the plant will naturally go to the post office. The rest is none of our business. The initial idea of delivering the letters ourselves is totally wrong. We are not messengers in the first place, but we were doing the messenger's job. Of course those eerie creatures would kill us. Armin gave his answer. The last bit of doubt everyone had disappeared completely. But that's not absolute, so I still need someone to try first. Armin poured cold water on everyone again. Players from all countries looked at each other. No one wanted to be the test subject. Armin, on the other hand, remained indifferent. He quietly watched everyone pass the buck. I trust you. Surprisingly, the one who entered the meatpacking plant was Reno, who had been standing by Armin this whole time. Reno cast a meaningful glance at Armin, then walked straight toward the meatpacking plant. Armin didn't react at all. This entire time, most decisions were only accepted by everyone, with Reno's help, without any other restrictions. Force always has more control than words. If something happens to Reno, everything he says next will be completely worthless. Players from all countries will no longer trust Armin. Their alliance will collapse completely. Reno walked slowly toward the meatpacking plant. Players from all countries had their hearts in their throats. They didn't want Reno to die, because that would mean their most promising path forward would be totally blocked too. One step, two steps. Armin's light blue eyes were completely calm. He just watched quietly. As Reno got closer to the meatpacking plant, he watched Reno step into the plant and vanish like thin air after passing through the gate. Reno is dead. All the players had sorrow in their eyes. A sense of despair spread all around them. No, he's still alive. Armin shook his head. The death announcement didn't go off. That means Reno succeeded. Meanwhile, at the TV ghost's house, Old Wang looked awkwardly at me sitting in his usual seat. He wanted to say something, but ended up holding his tongue. The screen that was originally full of static suddenly became extremely bright right now. What was showing on the screen in real time was the locations and status of all these players. Hey, Mr. Postman, didn't you finish delivering all the letters? Old Wang asked carefully, scared of angering the terrifying guy in front of him. Yep, so I've got nothing to do now. I nodded and kept my eyes glued to the screen. Old Wang's mouth twitched. What he actually meant to say was, why didn't you stay put and wait for teleport? After delivering letters? What are you doing at my place? As for the Weird Talk game, they as locals naturally know a bit about it. He really wanted to lose his temper. He wanted to show off his authority as a monster. But the second he saw Hua Wuke, he deflated like a punctured balloon. All the tricks that used to work every time became a total joke. Honestly, when Hua Wuke brought the TV to his house and plugged it in demanding he turn it on, Old Wang was secretly happy for a while, because his killing trigger was exactly turning on the TV. When Hua Wuke came to deliver the letter earlier, he didn't do that, because he thought he could take care of this kid, all by himself. So Old Wang readily plugged it in and turned on the TV, but absolutely nothing happened. Old Wang thought something was wrong, so he made an excuse to turn it off again, then turned it back on. Still nothing happened at all. This time, cold sweat was all over Old Wang's forehead. He had a vague feeling that if he dared turn it off again, he would probably vanish right here. He turned around and saw me looking at him with a half smile. After that, Old Wang didn't dare have any other ideas. He could only pray that Hua Wuke would leave soon. Right then, Old Wang noticed something completely unbelievable. He stared tightly at the screen. These little brats actually dare to mess with Zhang Bapi. Zhang Bapi? I glanced at him. Old Wang explained. Zhang Bapi is the owner of the meatpacking plant. He's really hard to mess with. Meatpacking plant? Do you raise animals here too? I looked thoughtful. Old Wang gave me a meaningful look in response. Dr. Armin, aren't you going in? When players from all countries saw Reno went in, and there really was no death announcement, they all got excited instantly, but they still had a little hesitation. He vanished because the mail was returned. The mission is completed directly. He's already left the weird talk world. This last bit of hesitation completely vanished after Armin's words. For these players, nothing is more important than being able to go back home. The information gap made all these players fail to realize one key fact. Even if you complete the mission, you will never get teleported out. The creepypasta game only ends the moment you die, no exceptions. But there are still a handful of players who have managed to stay calm. There are roughly 4 or 5 people lingering around Armin, waiting to see what happens. They stared at this doctor, their eyes full of suspicion. Everyone else has gone inside. If going in means completing the mission, then why didn't Armin, who found this place first, push his way in like everyone else? That's exactly the reason these players didn't rush in with the crowd, because I need to join the next phase of the game. Armin gave a rare, faint smile. Next phase of the game. The remaining few people looked confused. You don't need to know that. Armin shook his head. Then under the gaze of those people, he said, this totally baffling line. Please settle the payment for the goods. What payment? The few remaining people frowned deeply. Audiences across Blue Planet were also confused. What does this payment mean? Are the players who just went in the goods? This thought popped up in viewers' heads worldwide. They felt a sudden cold chill shoot right up from their feet to their skulls. There's no death broadcast at all, and no creepypasta has descended either. But they probably forgot one thing. The people Hua Wujue used for experiments also went missing. Inside the creepypasta world, that rundown meat processing plant fell, silent for a short moment. Then a voice like a throat burnt by hot coals spoke slowly, sounding just like a demon's whisper. What payment? Get the hell out of here right now, or you'll never leave alive. The owner of the voice was Zhang Bapi, the meat plant boss. Armin said calmly, you've received a total of 276 people from me. Per the rules, you have to pay me. On the other side, Zhang Bapi fell uncharacteristically silent. He spoke reluctantly after about 2 minutes. How did you figure this out? As his voice faded, 3 ghost coins with a face value of 1 appeared in Armin's hand. Armin smiled slightly. It's super easy to figure out. The letter is just an accessory. We delivery people are the actual content. That's why no matter how hard we look for rules, we die as soon as we get close, no way out. And you're the owner of the meat processing plant. Anyone else can accept us content with no issues. Only you can't. Why is that? The voice snarled viciously. At the same time, from the shadows of the factory, an ugly man covered in huge pus-filled boils slowly stepped out. His nearly 2-meter height made viewers feel double discomfort both visually and physically. But Armin's next answer made them feel a bone-chilling cold. Because we are the so-called meat for the meat plant. Those monsters don't have to pay for the goods. That's because they already paid the meat plant. But if we come to you directly, and you accept us, you have to follow the rule of paying us. We are not goods yet. We only become goods once you officially accept us. And you have to pay for your stock, right? I think you know that better than I do, boss. Armin's pale blue eyes stared at the meat plant boss's ugly face. It's hard to imagine what was going through that ugly face's mind right now. The meat plant boss spoke after a long silence. You're right. Take the money and get out of here. 3 ghost coins are enough for you to finish your mission. Not enough. I want the pay I deserve. 10 ghost coins per person. Armin refused. 3 ghost coins are way below the actual value. I'll still die if I take that. The meat plant boss suddenly turned ferocious, like someone had just exposed his secret. His face twitching, he roared viciously. Leave right now, and you'll have my friendship. I promise you won't have any problems delivering your letters. But if you don't leave, you'll become my goods just like the rest of them. Please pay me what I'm owed. Armin turned a deaf ear to the meat processing plant boss's threats entirely, even when the man walked right up to him. Aren't you afraid of dying? The meat processing plant boss's ugly face was almost pressed against Armin's. I'm not going to die. Armin still had a smile on his face, like nothing could make his pale blue pupils even flinch. The meat plant boss backed down very quickly. He had way too many taboos to risk it. Damn it, you win! I'll pay you what you're owed. The meat plant boss turned his head away furiously. 10 ghost coins with a face value of 100 appeared. The director of the meat processing plant said coldly, This is my final bottom line. You know that very well. If you go over this amount, I'll kill you even if I get punished by the rules. Armin nodded. Fine, I accept, but I need you to take the letter in my hand and give it to a real postman to send off. Hearing what he said, the meat processing plant director frowned, but then his brow relaxed right away. Sure. Compared to the remaining over 1,000 ghost coins, this request is a total bargain. The 3 mails in Armin's hand disappeared and ended up in the meat processing plant director's hand. Ha, kid. Your letter is in my hands now. If I don't send it for you, you'll die right here. On the face of the meat processing plant director, a sinister smile suddenly appeared. Being outsmarted by a human kid made him burn with rage. Since the tough approach doesn't work, then I'll use the soft approach. If you can't finish the mail delivery task, you annoying little human brat are as good as dead. If you want to finish the task, hand over the rest of the ghost coins to me now. The meat processing plant director suddenly went back on his word. It didn't seem to fluster Armin at all. Instead, he said very calmly, Suit yourself. Those 2 short words seemed to snuff out the director's arrogance. His face turned green and pale by turns. Finally, he let out a cold snort. Everything has rules. If a monster in the horror game breaks the rules and snatches the letter, causing the player to fail the task, that's obviously breaking this rule. So the meat processing plant director didn't dare. Otherwise, that would count as breaking the deal. He could only do as requested. A postman appeared at the end of the road. Old rusty bicycle. Plain worn-out mailbag. Lifeless, dead-looking face. The ghost post office on his chest badge was so obvious. It was enough for everyone present to tell he was the real postman. Nice working with you. Armin nodded at the meat processing plant director. The director was extremely unwilling as he handed the letters to the postman. The postman turned around right away to leave. Wait, we have letters too. The players who didn't blindly enter the meat processing plant spoke in a panic once they realized what was going on. The ghost postman slowly turned his head. His eyes that were completely white stared at them lifelessly. These surviving players couldn't help swallowing, but they still overcame their fear and stepped forward. Postage. The ghost postman spat out 2 words stiffly. It was as thick and heavy as stale soy sauce. The players glanced at each other. After a brief moment of shock, a vicious glint quickly flashed in their eyes. They all rushed toward Armin at the same time. Armin, either give us the money, or you're dead. The players lunged at Armin with twisted faces. The meat processing plant director laughed out loud seeing this. He didn't even want to leave anymore. He wanted to watch this annoying human brat get hoisted by his own petard. The meat processing plant director was doomed to be disappointed. The players didn't last even 1 round once they got close. All of them were taken down cleanly by Armin. The players howled like ghosts on the ground. While howling, they cursed Armin with the most vicious words. After they were done cursing, they started sobbing and begging Armin to help them. You're not worth that much. Get eliminated early, get relieved early. Armin glanced at them coldly and walked away directly. The ghost postman who collected the letters watched silently. Suddenly he seemed to think of something and added out of the blue. No money? You can use organs instead. When you don't have enough ghost coins, you can use parts of your body as payment. Light quickly flashed in the player's eyes. We agree. We'll give you our fingers. Your hearts, the ghost postman said stiffly, as he walked toward them step by step. Hearing this, the players turned deathly pale in an instant. We don't want to send them anymore. Go away. The ghost postman ignored them completely. The meat processing plant director was annoyed that he didn't get a good show, so he said mockingly, This guy is more stubborn than me. Since you already agreed, the deal is already sealed. At Old Wang's home, what an idiot. Old Wang stared at the TV, watching with great interest. It seemed like he hadn't seen such an exciting show in ages. Ha ha ha! That scumbag Jang is super mad this time. He got 1,000 ghost coins robbed right out of his hands. Speaking of which, this kid is insanely smart. He actually figured all this out. If he made one wrong judgment, he would be dead for sure. After all this time, he's still the only one who got it right. That kid they're talking about is Armin. Old Wang had to admit Armin was one of the only two human kids during the mail delivery mission who could win his wholehearted respect. What do you think of him? I looked at Old Wang with my dark abyss-like eyes and asked with great interest. I want to see how players look from the creepy creature's perspective. Super smart, but even more delicious. Old Wang swallowed subconsciously, a glint of greed appearing in his eyes. Then what do you think of me? I asked again. Old Wang felt awkward for a moment, not knowing the purpose of my question. He carefully observed my expression and spoke tentatively. You are the strongest human I have ever met. Aren't I delicious then? I gave a faint, ambiguous smile. Master Postman, you must be joking. Old Wang's mouth twitched wildly. Looking at the man in front of him, he had a feeling he was being set up and didn't dare say anything reckless anymore. I smiled and shook my head. No matter when or where, only the strong deserve to talk about status. The weak can only be trampled on. 3-mail mission has ended. Total participating players, 337. Surviving players, 2. A new round of creepypasta game is about to start. Random player selection in progress. The nightmare is still spreading. Weird creepypastas are everywhere. This time, there are only 2 places left on the entire blue planet that have not been invaded by creepypastas. Thank God. Thank you, Dr. Armin. Let's go. Our US will never fall. The whole US was cheering. They made it to the end. As for the other big country not invaded by creepypastas, I'll hold the banner for Brother Hua. See who dares to be his enemy. Brothers and sisters, shout out our slogan. Brother Hua is invincible. Brother Hua is the GOAT. Inside Longo's top strategic meeting room, 5 dragon marshals gathered together. Everyone was silent and said nothing, even though they successfully stayed out of trouble. In the first round of the creepypasta game, there was no trace of joy on their faces. Instead, a hint of worry lingered between their brows. At this rate, other countries will sooner or later become uninhabited countries because of the creepypasta arrival. This is not a good thing at all. The population on Blue Planet will only get smaller and smaller, and other countries are infested with creepypastas, so their resources cannot be used. Pass the order down. Start the Heavenly Court plan. We still need to stay alert at the border. Guard against the possibility of supernatural spread. R&D department should act as soon as possible. Within 1 month. I want to see the result of the lunar immigration project. The 5 dragon marshals all had clear thinking. No one knows when the creepypasta game will be solved. Even though Hua Wuke has shown unmatched potential at this stage, they still need to prepare for immigration. Immigrate to the moon when necessary. And this requires an unimaginably huge amount of resources. Longo is also racing against time. Everything depends on the new round of creepypasta game. Lead Marshal Ni shifted his gaze back to the screen, inside the creepypasta world. The moment the 3-mail mission countdown hit 0, a white light enveloped Armin and me. When the white light faded, we were already in a brand new creepypasta venue. A few noisy crow caws sounded abruptly. They then flapped their tattered wings and left the gray-black branches, flying in the black fog-filled night sky. Beneath the black fog was a campus filled with ominous atmosphere. Faint, shrill screams could be heard vaguely. Welcome to the creepypasta game. Total participating players, 321. New mission has been issued. Expose the lie. A campus built deep in the dense forest hides a huge lie. Find it. Mission time limit is 72 hours. No survival reward. Death penalty. Creepypasta descends on your country. Good luck, everyone. By the way, new faces get less time, just so you know. The creepypasta will was not completely erased. It was reshaped. Similar to a puppet, it still follows the previous settings without knowing it. I did this to better understand this game. After all, I didn't participate in the production of the creepypasta game. Many things still need to be tested. We meet again, Mr. Hua. Armin smiled slightly. I smiled back at him. A playful glint flashed across my eyes. What I was into earlier was definitely the creepypasta game. After I joined it as a player, this guy named Armin piqued my interest way more. Chaos and sanity. Madness and paranoia. Calmness and restlessness. With only failure and death left, you can achieve a unique kind of sublimation. My hometown is really super popular. I've long seen through what's hidden in Armin. Someone planted the 12-cycle seed inside him. As the ruler of nearly 100 Hongmeng universes, I've been exposed to all kinds of cultivation systems, and I learned about this 12-cycle thing in the distorted and chaotic. Hongmeng universe. In that Hongmeng universe, every living being was tainted with distortion and madness and paranoia. And the one who started all this was the Hongmeng Venerable, tortured by distortion and chaos, even when he was out of his mind. After running into my Netherworld army, he still dealt huge losses to the Netherworld army. In the end, it took me a whole lot of effort to kill him inside the Hongmeng boundary wall, just by a tiny bit. That distortion and chaos were about to spread back into my own Hongmeng universe. This was also the only time in the 100 Hongmeng Supreme Wars that I ever found a fight really tough, so I had to ask the Heavenly Emperor for help.